Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about algebra properties, a few simple things. This video is liable to be a little bit shorter than our last couple, which is good because those were a little bit on the longer side. This is going to be, excuse me, mostly about some vocabulary. We're going to hit a few vocabulary terms. The example is going to be really easy. Most of the math that we're going to do is going to be really just stuff from the last lesson. So let's dive on in. All right, here we go. So the first property we're going to talk about is the commutative property, C-O-M. The commutative. What the heck have I drawn? Let's try again. Some sort of M thing happening. Commutative. Right? The commutative property. To commute means to travel from one place to the other. So like going to work. I used to commute to school every day. I used to commute and drive 30 miles down the road and all that kind of stuff. And so that's really what the commutative property in math means. It means to move. Let's put a little bit of meat on that and see if we can flesh it out a little bit. So in generic terms, what the commutative property says is that if we have A plus B, that is the exact same thing as B plus A. So we've taken and we've rearranged the things. So in practical terms, what does that mean? Well, that means that 2 plus 3 equals 5, and 3 plus 2 also equals 5, right? Now that also works for multiplication and division. So A times B is the same as B times A, right? So that's all the commutative property is that we can rearrange it. We can move the numbers around as long as we make the signs follow. Much more on that in the next unit. But we can rearrange the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and it's the same problem, same result. So that's the first property. The second property that we're going to talk about is the associative property. Both of these words have repeated letters. Y'all notice that? Double M, double S. Associative property. So to associate with something or someone or any of that kind of stuff kind of means to be grouped with them, right? And so that's basically what associative property is. We can think about it almost as grouping symbols or as doing this and then doing that thing, right? And so in generic terms, the way we write that is that A plus B, so some number plus some other number, plus C, so some other number, we got a third number up in this mix, is the same thing as A plus B plus C. So we can group them and we can do them in any order. These, if you think about it in a way, these properties almost go together because you could think about it as the rearrangement, but we're grouping these things differently. So we put some numbers and some kind of meat on those bones. Then if we have, for this example, if we have 1 plus 2 plus 3, right? 1 plus 2 is 3, right? 3 plus 3 is 6, right? We can also rearrange it and do 1 plus 2 plus 3. Let's see what's going to happen. I bet it's going to end up the same. What do you want to bet? So 2 plus 3 is 5. Bring down the plus 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. So that's all the associative property work. All the associative property says, and excuse me, it works for addition, subtraction, as well as multiplication and division, just like the commutative property and pretty much all of these properties. So A times B times C is the same as A times B times C. Let's do a little example of that one. Why not? Why not, he said. So if we have 2 times 4 times 6, group it that way. 4 times 6. Well, let's think about that for half a second. That's 24, isn't it? Yes. 4 times 6 is 24 times 2 is 48. So let's think about it. Let's group it the other way. Associate it the other way for the associative property. 2 times 4 and then times 6. Well, 2 times 4 is 8. And 8 times 6 is 48. So see, it works either way. So we're almost through. We just got a couple of 3 more properties in there. Again, this is mostly a vocabulary lesson. So the next property that we're going to talk about is the additive identity. Additive identity. In the next unit, we're going to talk about the inverses, but for now, we've got the identity. So your identity is who you are, right? And so in math, I have gotten to talking and wrote the wrong thing. Let's try again. Identity, right? So the additive identity is the number that you can add to any other number and it stays the same. Think about that for a second. So what number can you add to any other number and that number doesn't change at all? Did you think about it? Did you figure out what it is? So the additive identity is 0 because we can take any number and add 0 to it and it's still that number. So that's the additive identity. So if there's an additive identity, you may have already guessed that there is a multiplicative identity. Is that how you spell that word? Doesn't sound right. I thought so. Multiplicative. Sorry if you're taking notes in pen. Sorry for ruining your life. There's white out. Multiplicative identity. Oh no, I did it wrong. Are y'all enjoying this live mistake making? I hope so. Comment below if you are. Multiplicative identity. So the multiplicative identity is the same idea. Identity is the same idea. What can you multiply times any other number and it ends up being the same thing? So think about that for a minute. What number can you multiply times any other number and it stays the same? Did you figure out that one? It's 1, of course. Because any number times 1 equals that same number. So that's a multiplicative identity. The final property, I think, let me double check. Yep, this is actually the second time I've recorded this video because I accidentally forgot a property or two, but that's okay. Life happens. The last property that we're going to talk about in this video is the multiplication property of 0. Oops. Property of 0. This one you've probably been knowing for a long time. What happens if you take any number and you multiply it by 0? Well, if you didn't for some reason already know, when you multiply any number, any single number, complex number, real number, imaginary number, whatever number, if you take that and you multiply it times 0, it equals 0. And that's the multiplication property of 0, and that's all there is to it. And that is all the properties we're going to talk about. The homework is mostly either stuff like what we learned in the last unit or excuse me, the last lesson, or it is identifying properties, and so it's just vocabulary stuff. So if you are one of my students, you can find your homework assignments on your homework pages and all of those things. If you're not one of my students, I hope you have enjoyed this video and gotten something useful out of it. We are offering our entire pre-algebra course, the lecture portion at least, for free here on YouTube. So something that could really help us out in that endeavor and effort is if you just hit that subscribe button, and if you drop a like on this video, we would really, really appreciate it. You can check out the playlist for the entire video. We're going to be working on this one and a bunch of other courses. Also, if you want to figure out ways that you can support us and other things that we offer, you can go to emberlearninglabs.com. Thank you guys, and have a really great day. Goodbye.